Millions of Texans were left in the dark as the state became crippled with power issues following our February freeze. But some parts of the state managed to keep the lights on right here in our backyard.
I'm standing on the Smith-Gregg County line. On one side, the Electric Reliability Council of Texas, better known as ERCOT, operates here and across 90% of the state. On the other side, power comes from the Southwestern Electric Power Company, also known as SWEPCO.
There are more than 1,100 power plants in the Southwest Power Pool. So when there were issues, SPP could push electricity to us from other parts of the region.
Think of it like a highway system. If you were driving from Longview to Dallas and you ran into a major crash on the interstate, you would take a different route. During last year's freeze, the small 10% of Texas part of the regional power grid had the ability to pull power from other sources, limiting days left in the dark for some East Texans.
Southwest Power Pool has transmission lines that can move power over long distances, all the way up from the border with Canada down to East Texas.
However, both parts of the Piney Woods divided by these grids had their share of blackouts and outages. On February 16th, at least 4.5 million customers in Texas were without power, which equaled out to roughly 35% of Smith County without power under ERCOT, and in Gregg County, approximately 12% without power under SWEPCO. Caught unprepared, the power authorities were forced to winterize local power plants built for milder climates so past mistakes would not be repeated again.
Have they put thermal blankets on the right types of equipment to make sure those thermal blankets keep those facilities warm? Have they appropriately set heat tracing in place so that pipes don't freeze up?
With the largest call for reform coming from leaders with ERCOT and the Public Utility Commission.
Those who have not been proactive will be penalized swiftly and heavily.
Going forward, power plants across the Texas grid will routinely be inspected with violators failing to comply, facing hefty fines. This is one small step in the recovery process from last year's lessons learned. Next up, meteorologist Chandler Jordan will explain how you can sign up for emergency alerts in case of a power failure.
After last year's winter storm devastated the independent electricity grid in our state, Texas legislators and those in charge at ERCOT decided that change was needed in order to better winterize the grid in case of an energy emergency. You might be wondering, what exactly is an energy emergency? It's when normal procedures aren't able to properly balance energy supply and demands. When this imbalance happens, a conservation alert can be issued. This is when ERCOT will ask you to reduce electric use. If proper supply and demand can't be reached quickly, ERCOT uses a 3-tiered energy emergency system. At Tier 1, ERCOT can call on all available power supplies, including using power from nearby grids. At Tier 2, ERCOT can reduce demand by interrupting power from large industrial consumers like warehouses who have contractually agreed to do so in case of an emergency. At Tier 3, when reserves are at their lowest, ERCOT will order power companies to conduct rotating power outages like the ones we experienced during last year's winter storm. If you're interested in receiving these alerts, there are ways you can sign up for them. You can download the ERCOT mobile app for emergency alerts, follow them on Twitter, or subscribe to their emergency alerts on their website. There are additional energy resources on the ERCOT website, as well as over on CBS19.tv. And of course, we'll be there for you if East Texas goes through another power crisis this winter.
What about some misconceptions about generators?
You don't want to get carbon monoxide into your house. We know it's odorless, we know it's colorless, and it can get in there, and before you know it, you start feeling the effects of it.
Even an insulated tank, again, like last year, the tank could rupture. You know, as it freezes and expands, something's got to give.